Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper, and tonight's webinar is live Forex market reviews. So let's get into it. So if everybody could read through the disclaimer before we move along. Now, if you're on a YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch or just use the link and join us in the webinar so you can chat to me. For everybody else, got the webinar chat box open and the Q&A question and answer box open. You can use either to talk to me. So everybody, just take the time to read through the disclaimer before we move along. All right, we'll move along now. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities, and I've been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years and mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me about webinars, my email is there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And through the week, you can connect with us at the website, acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia. If you want to connect with me personally on social media, just head over to my Linktree page. You can get my links there. If you want to get access to the chartlets and templates I'm using in the webinars, then just contact Nathan. His email's there at the bottom, nathan.bray@acy.com. I'll put his details in the chat. So if you've got any questions, just contact Nathan. He'll be able to address anything for you. So I'll just put that in the chat for you. All right, so let's get into tonight's webinar. First up, we'll see what's going on the news front at forexfacts.com here. And this evening we have these times of my time, Queensland time. We have at 11:30 p.m. Canadian GDP month on month, and then the US core PCE price index, unemployment claims. This figure moving up is kind of inflationary. If it's dropping down, it's deflationary. So the market will be looking at that number. So expectation is that it's going to be rising ever so slightly, which is going to be positive for the US dollar if that's the case. Unemployment claims, the market will be looking to see if this number is growing, because that will maybe indicate that the job figures will be, or the unemployment figures coming out next week will maybe slightly lower, or not as good. Job figures will be worse. So most definitely those two figures there are going to affect the market this evening. Into tomorrow, we have the manufacturing PMI data from China at 11:30. That will definitely affect the Aussie and New Zealand crosses. And then into the morning of morning of Saturday, 1 o'clock in the morning, we have the US ISM manufacturing PMI and revised UOM consumer sentiment. So a few items coming out that will affect the market, especially on the US side there. All right, so let's get into the charts now. US dollar here at the moment is a little bit mixed on the day chart. As we, from the monthly perspective, we are on the last day of the month, but we're having a month up. We have a higher bottom, a higher top. The trend is up on the monthly until proven different. Maybe an inverse head and shoulder pattern forming there, which occurred approximately 3 months ago. Weekly trend is up. We're just pulling back from a higher top. And we're starting to get support from over here, 103.60, day chart. So this old area here, there's more support in through here at 103.70. I did say on Tuesday this area could hold as support. It could be forming it's not a textbook inverse head and shoulder pattern, but there's a bit of a look about a left shoulder, head, right shoulder there, which is really, whether it's a true head and shoulder pattern or not, it doesn't really matter. It's just showing some form of support here in this area for potentially are we going to continue to longer term move up. So we're going to continue to move down. This big rejection candle here needs to be taken out. All right, so at the moment, we could be putting in a bit of a base here on the day chart after having, I think, 2 weeks for a pullback. Are we forming some form of a base maybe to continue the longer term trend up? We'll have to wait and see. So it is a little bit mixed because we kind of have this, on the day chart here, this is maybe a lower top and this is a higher bottom. So it's a little bit mixed in here. We're seeing the inverse look on the euro dollar. All right, S&P 500. This is what was indicated on Tuesday. We're in a trend on all the time frames, and we're a little bit of extended on the daily at the moment. So can we pull back to maybe a 279% retracement here to continue the trend? All right, there's nothing really showing that the trend's going to end at the moment. So, but you don't want to be buying at the top of the trend. So can you look to buy a dip if we can have a nice pullback to the 62.79% area? Okay, so nothing much changed there since Tuesday. Euro dollar. All right, so been looking in this area up here, 108.76, 79% level there, which I can't read. It's at 108.69. If price was to get up, in fact, I should correct myself because that low has been broken here, so that's a little bit invalidated now. The resistance level is still valid, but the fib level is now invalidated. And the fact that we've put in a little bit of a swing point there, so on the day chart here, we've actually put in a lower top here to the previous top. So this is a higher, if this is a bottom, this is a higher bottom to this bottom. So it's a little mixed, but after the big rush up, we're putting in a lower top. So that to me is just maybe sensing that we're turning everything back to down. Although currently in today's trading, we're trading back up above yesterday's high. So it is a little bit choppy in here at the moment. We feel this imbalance over here to the left. That was a job figure move down of the first Friday of the month. Obviously come back up through the month to fill that area, but holding at resistance. And, from the weekly chart, just get rid of that fib for a moment. We're having 2 weeks correction of this downtrend that's formed on the weekly. So long term, the trend is down at the moment. Of course, we continue up, have a few more weeks up. That doesn't change the week. The weekly trend could only change at the moment if you take out this high. So the trend is down because you broke this low. So I'm expecting a lower top to form at some point. And maybe we can only have 2 weeks up. So we're very close to the 79% level at the moment. If you want to be a positional trader, you could be selling at 79, stop above this high here. And then if this high can't be taken out, potentially you're going to be right. And of course, you're going to be wrong if that gets taken out. But we're holding at resistance, putting in a secondary top here to this top as a lower top. So are we topping out? As well, this decline here on the 4 hour, we're coming up to another 79% level. So there's two 79% levels there, 108.53 and 108.50. So that touching it now, it's just a question of, do you want to take a trade ahead of the news items coming out? This could definitely be a sell area today for a move down. And move down, rally. Are we going to see price map out like so? Of course, you can wait till the news passes, and if we have failed up there, look on a lower time frame for an opportunity to get in. So high time frame trends are down, like the weekly. So I think we may have topped out up here, and we're starting to put in a series of swings down now. All right. 15-minute chart here. We're just stubbing into there at the moment. You could look from maybe a tight entry on a trend line break in this area if you wanted to, or you maybe take a decision to pull the pin and take a trade here at the 79% area, stop above the high. All right. Euro yen did offer you a nice rally to a 62% level here on the 4 hour chart yesterday, but it is down at the moment into the 162 extension from this bit of reversal that we're seeing on the 4 hour chart. And more of a reversal on the day chart here from this top over here to the left, 163.71. Now, just from the monthly chart perspective, we had this low here, broke this minor low here. So we could be rushing all the way back up to potentially put in a lower top here. Previously discussed that we're at some historical areas from previous trading times, and this could well be where the market wants to put the brakes on. Now, the weekly chart is in an uptrend, but this is a minor monthly low. This is a more significant monthly low. We broke below there, so my question is it going to form a lower top on the monthly chart up here? Now, the weekly trend is up, though, at the moment, and the day trend is up. But potentially that can be a double top here. And since we've tagged that level, we are 3 days down. 162.42, if you go back to the monthly chart, that's the level we're bouncing on at the moment. It's this historical high over here. So if we move back below that high, we could be seeing a further sell-off. That's at 162.42. Right. So on the daily at the moment, we are still in an uptrend as well. I think if we're going to make a considerable shift to the downside here, we probably need to see this high here, 161.86, not hold as support, that we start to move below it. All right, so at the moment, you can be a buyer or a seller on this pair. Certainly, any further retest high up here could offer failure to move down. But for a long-term move down, I think we really need to see a break below here. So this level of 161.86 could be definite support in this trend that we're seeing up. If you spend a little bit more time eyeballing these days up here, this may look like an uptrend with these very significant highs and lows, using them as swing points, but there was an outside day here where we had a day down and a day up on that outside day up, and we've actually broken below that point there. So there's a very minor, maybe shifting trend now on the daily. That's that low point here shown on the 4-hour chart. So the 4-hour structure here is turned to down. And, if we close above 162.42 on the 4-hour chart, that might be your opportunity to say, okay, support's coming in to trade back up the range, which you set up to buy. From a seller's perspective, the 4-hour trend is down here. And you could be looking at this range, and you could be looking up here at the 79% level, 163.11. Is price going to come back up? So put in a further move down on the 4-hour. The 4-hour trend is down here. Can it come up to the 62? I much prefer the 79 because it's higher up, 163.11. To come down to this weekly area of support at 161.86. So this is overextended to the downside at the moment. So getting short here, I don't think it's the go. This is probably going to have a bounce up. So if you're prepared to trade counter to that 4-hour look, then we may well see a bounce up here. So if we can start to gather back above 162.42, can you see your intraday setup to buy? But be aware the 4-hour structure is down at the moment. So if it does start to stall at 163.11 or 16300 area, then we may well be seeing another leg down, okay? So if you can't get back above 162.42, it may just continue down for the day, but it's definitely overextended at the moment. So I'll keep dragging the fib down if price keeps moving down. Euro pound. This was the area highlighted on Tuesday, and we did get a stab down there. And what I've been saying is that the overall weekly trend is down, but we're in a corrective phase of moving back up. So to the weekly chart, we've been going, for those that haven't been with me, down, and I've got the fib drawn from that high to low, and I'm expecting we could come up to the 79% area, or at least into the 62-79% area, and there's an old area of weekly support, potentially now resistance at 86.49. So I'm looking for price to do that sort of thing, have a rally back up this way, so that's corrective against the weekly trend. And the day trend has turned back to up. higher top, higher bottom, and really the area that I was looking at on Tuesday was the area. It was just that's weekly support, but there was daily support here at 85.47. And we managed to pull back into that area this week. And last two trading days, the lows of those days have been finding support down there. So I'm anticipating this is going to be moving up towards this area. However, from an intraday buying perspective, you're at the top of the move at the moment. So if the 4-hour chart continues up, this is potentially going to be a 4-hour low here. I would put a fib on that low and start to drag the fib up and wait for then the next pullback whenever it occurs. All right, we're already too far up. The current fib would be there. We had a 62% pullback, and we're already at the 0 level once more, maybe moving to the 127 extension. So you really need to wait for the next pullback as this progresses up the chart, correcting the weekly downtrend. Okay, so put your fib there and start to measure it and wait for the next pullback. Okay, pound dollar. Now on Tuesday, I was saying this was filling at the 79% area here. And expecting this to roll down and over. Price were in here when I was talking. Of course, that's occurred. It's moved a 4-hour chart into a downtrend here. So let's just move up a couple of time frames, or at least up to daily. This fib's drawn across the weekly trend. So the weekly trend, let me go up to the weekly trend. We've moved to a lower bottom. This is just corrective. It's pulled back to 62. So weekly trend is down. This is corrective. Are we going to form a lower top here to move down? Day trend is up because it's correcting that weekly downtrend. So we may have topped out here though at the 62 to continue the overall move down on the weekly trend, which is down. So there's the weekly range, high to low. I'm anticipating that if we have failed at 62 here, that's down, corrective, downward. If we take out this high here, then at the moment that's not true, but to the 4-hour, the 4-hour trend has turned down. We've come up into the 62 to 79% area. It's actually come up to the 50% point. So of the weekly range, that was the 62% point of the weekly range. Now the 50% point is starting to offer resistance. So that could be the topping out point of today. When we get the news coming in later in the day, though, I would potentially, we might get a stab further up. Do we come up to the 79% level? So there's the 62, 79% area. 126.67 to 126.80. We may further come back up in the news window today, at least coming to this area. So I'm expecting this area potentially to be the area where we could be topping out today. Okay, you can see any rally back yesterday came into this area through New York. Asia couldn't quite get there. The volatility of the London sessions just spiked it up just above New York's high. So this looks to be the zone where we should be maybe selling on the 4-hour trend structure, which is down, and back to the 4-hour. Selling in here, stop above here. Looking for the next downward move on the 4-hour chart. We'll be selling in this zone here. Stop just above the last top. We've got 3 tops here, so depending on how concerned you are, you could put your stop above maybe this one here. All right, some reviews on the pound. It's the Aussie yen. So I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, we're coming up to test the 2023, 2022 highs. And to the day chart. That was potentially support on a pullback. I was saying we're still in an uptrend when if we're going to come down here, we're still in an uptrend. So this area could have offered support, but it hasn't. But the big thing I've been saying over the last 2 or even the month through February is testing this 2023 high just here on the weekly, and this 2022 high is very known area of resistance. We're very high up on the monthly chart here historically to where we've been before. Is when you have price positioning like this at yearly highs, at historical high points as well, you're going to get institutional sellers there for sure wanting to sell at such a high price, because this is the highest price that we've been in 2023 and in 2022, because we took out 2022 high just. So this is a very high price point. And whilst the weekly trend is still up, this could just have 2 weeks down and then have another go at pushing through. But we're having a sell-off at the moment. Can the trend change? Since yesterday's CPI figures were fractionally lower, the market is maybe starting to want to position itself for an interest rate cut. Whether or not that's coming is another matter, but the market's always positioning itself one way or the other. All right, so at the moment, the day trend is actually still up. It's higher bottom, higher top, but potentially for me, we've failed here significantly, and maybe we're going to change the trends. So it's a matter of time potentially. On your 4-hour chart, it's quite clearly there. Right now, 98.43, 98.51, that's the 2022 high, 2023 high. We could still come back up and retest those levels. This is not the best place to be a seller at the moment. It's at the bottom of the move, but if you monitor the 4-hour range, 79% levels at 98.29, it could most definitely come back up and retest this area of resistance at some point over the next few days. So monitor the pair for a rally. Now, I'm just saying price could come up to this area because this is the area I'd love it to come up to for a retest if it wants to come up for a retest. We have also broken below today. This is a weekly high and some other highs in this area, old highs. So, well, we have a weekly high here and we have another one way over here. And in between these two price points, there's a number of highs in this area. So this area isn't seemingly offering support. So whilst I would love it to come back up maybe to the higher level, and if I've actually drew a fib from the highest point, then the 79% level and the 62% area here overlaps with this zone here. But price may not want to come back up above this high. The fact that it couldn't hold there and we've just sliced down through today, price may on the 4-hour chart only over the next day or two want to come back to 97.87. So let's call it the 98 area if it wants to just pop above before continuing down. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of that lower line because the most prominent major top is here at the moment that we're just moving below. That one's a little bit hidden by all this price action, but I'm just aware that I'm aware very much that it's there. So to make things easy, that's the most significant area to watch for to be resistance at the moment on a pullback. Okay. If you want to be a seller, don't sell the bottom. Look for some form of rally on the chart. All right. Just want to look at the 15-minute. All right. So, that resistance area, 97.87, any volatility could potentially just pick it up to 98. So that would be the area where, in a perfect world, can price have a rally? It's had 2 strong days of sell-off at the moment, so it is due a intraday bounce. But it is looking like we may be having a significant reversal down from last year's high at the moment. Okay, the Aussie dollar didn't give me a nice run up to retest the 79% level. So what it is doing today, if you had the levels I've been discussing, 65.22, 65.11 from the weekly chart, this area here was offering some form of support, these two highs, but intraday today it's starting to offer resistance. So we've maybe just had 1 week, maybe 1.5 weeks up. I think we had an outside week there. So 1.5 weeks up, the weekly trend is down. I'm expecting this to follow down and through. Now the trend on the day chart is up until, by the letter of the law, it's up. That's a higher top. We need to break a low at the moment to prove that we're maybe changing trend. So it may not want to change trend. It may want to come back up. I'll have to wait and see. But what it's doing today is it's starting to want to be below 65.22, 65.11, and this low here, which is 65.24. And these lows here. And of course, the 4-hour trend is down. So it's actually not able to get back up today to last month's low. Last month's low is here at 65.24. So just on the 4-hour, there's a range here. It's had about a 50% retracement. So the news volatility could just drive this up to the 62.79% area. That would be a great area to look for a sell today. Price could get into that zone, but I don't know whether it can. At the moment, it's not been able to get above the weekly resistance line at 65.22, but volatility could just get this up into that area. So you can monitor that area today. We're just holding at 65 at the moment. And up here, we just fell just short of 66. So we could still trade between 65 and 66 over the next couple of weeks. You'll have to watch to see how 65 starts to perform. If we start to get back up to 65.20, and you've seen today that 6,500 on any test starts to hold, that's going to be very suspicious that maybe we're going to move all the way back up to close to 66 again. All right, so those are the things I'll be watching on the 50-minute chart. Is what starts to happen at 65 over the next 24 hours. Okay, I mean, if we start to hold here over the next, if we start to hold above 65 after the US news, we could, move back up the range once more. Lachlan is saying, if I was short from the top, would I be taking profits now? Not on the Aussie yen. So personally, no. Depends how close to the top I would. If I'm very close to the top, I potentially wouldn't, because price might not rally. So it's always a tough one. If we go back to the Aussie yen at the moment, Aussie yen at the moment is in very strong sell mode at the moment. So it's a tough one. Like if you've got short up here, there's always the potential it's going to come back up and retest that area at some point. But if we break this low, here without a rally, then we're probably not getting back up to this area. We're probably only coming back to this area. So you got short at 98.58. All right, so you're starting to pick the levels. I mean, you got a good profit. I tend to just hold my position. If I think I'm in a trade where I think there's going to be a long-term move down, I tend to hold my position. This is a major level where we're failing at. So it's going to, sometimes it comes back for the retest, sometimes it doesn't. At the moment, what we're definitely also seeing before we move away from the Aussie yen is on the dollar yen. This is looking a bit weak up here. This is at very high levels on the dollar yen too. So if this breaks here, that's going to potentially exacerbate the breakdown of the Aussie yen. You know, so I would potentially hold my position personally, because it might not rally back. You know, if you get out and it doesn't rally back, you have no position, do you? If you're wanting to hold it for the long term, then if you take profit now and wait for the next rally, or if it doesn't rally, you have no position. So that's why I tend to hold my position. All right, let's get into now. Done the Aussie, you know, watch 6,500. This has been support once today already here, so it may well hold here. So it's just respecting levels, but you know, from the sell side at the moment, 65.22 is definitely holding a resistance up here. So another test of that area and failure could offer you the level to trade down from, but news volatility could spike it up to the 62.79% area. All right, let's get into, I didn't cover the pound yen before. So this is an area of support on my 4-hour chart I highlighted on Tuesday. We're heading down into that zone. Out of all the yen pairs, the pound yen's probably the more stronger. Structural wise, it is holding, it's just holding out at the moment, 189.70, which is a monthly high over here. So these two monthly highs, 189.70 and 188.80, these levels, whilst we're above these levels, it's difficult to try to short this pair, even though we're having some form of a little bit of a sell-off this week. Now, weekly trend's up and the day trend's still up, and we're having some form of fib retracement here. Almost hit the 62 level and starting to get a little bit of support there to move back up. So you're a buyer or selling this peak, could be on both sides. You know, from what's happening on the other yen pairs at the moment, the 4-hour structure is the same as the other yen pairs, it's down. So, you know, if you wanted to be a seller, you could say as long as the structure is holding, you could look to the sell side for a rally, draw your fib in, look up here at the 79% level, 190.59 for the next lower top to form. But you know, the day trend is most definitely up, the weekly trend is up, the monthly trend is up. So this is just a short-term downtrend intra day charts. We may well find a lot of support coming in at the 62 to 79% area and at 188.80, the other monthly level of the other monthly high that moved above. So really, I think on that pound yen, if I want to get it short, I need to see the day trend change, and we don't have that. It's still very strong on the higher time frames. As I'm talking, it's moving back above 189.70 at the moment. So, you know, on the 15-minute chart, if we take out this high on the 50-minute chart, that will turn the 50-minute chart into an uptrend, which potentially, if let's go back to the 4-hour chart at the moment, this range here on the 4-hour, the 4-hour downtrend range there, if we break above this 50-minute high at 189.79, then potentially we're going to be changing the 50-minute trend to up and potentially move price action, then has the opportunity to move back up to the 62 to 79% area, because the 50-minute chart would turn to up, and we have quite an imbalance here that price action will probably want to fill. So I would anticipate we're going to have some form of upward movement back in this 4-hour range to fill this imbalance. Before then, does it maybe turn back over to have another run down? Okay. All right, New Zealand yen. This is a prime example where we were very strong early in the week. Monthly trend is up, but it's testing historical high points. And I've been saying this for the last few weeks. When you're testing historical high points, you know, this is back in 2000, this is 10 years ago. The market will tend to fail and turn around. But at the point of the failure, the monthly trend is up, the weekly trend is up, and the day trend is up. So, of course, yes, I'm here saying potentially we're going to fail, and everybody can see the trend is up. So I'm actually, going in the face of the overall trend. But we may well see, over the next week or two, the day trend's starting to change it down on the yen pairs because they're all at historical high points. So New Zealand yen here at the moment, having a week down now. It's still in an uptrend. It could still hold its uptrend. It could just, have a pullback to a 62.79% fib level, hold and move back up. All right. At the moment, it's not able to hold above this top here through the trading week, the weekly chart. And the next level that it's moving potentially down to is this weekly top here to the day chart. It's 90.98. All right, so this pair has actually changed its trend to down yet on the daily, but thing I want to point out here, this is where we had a swing point to move up, and we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days up. But it's only taken 4 days to almost erode 8 days worth of movement up. So which side of the market's in control at the moment? Which side of the market's stronger in this area? 8 days up to get to move to a price point, and it's only taken potentially 4 days to erode the whole thing. So clearly the sellers have come in and smashed this. Now we might get a rally back up. At some point, for sure, we'll get a rally back up. It's whether we break this little area of support first before we rally. So at the moment, it's a bit of a patience game because you don't want to be a seller at the bottom of the move. But the 4-hour structure could just hold itself, and we may just get a rally and then a further decline. So I would just be monitoring. With exception, I don't really like the pound yen. I think that's a little bit more bullish, but Aussie yen, New Zealand yen, and the Euro yen, I would look at the 4-hour structure and look for a retracement back up to 62.79% zones and see whether they turn over intraday and can you get short. So that area there, 92.25 to 92.55 at the moment. Can we come up? Might need to adjust the fib if price keeps moving down. 92.40 is a monthly resistance area that we're false breaking. So may come back up to retest that area or not. But if we're getting a significant sell-off, you don't want to be selling at the bottom. You have to play the patience and look for a rally. All right, New Zealand dollar. This is my day chart. Like the Aussie on the daily structure, it's still in an uptrend. It's a higher top pulling back. But the question is, have we just had the completion of the weekly rally, which turns a day chart trend to up, before we're having the next weekly major decline? So on the weekly charts, I should go to the monthly chart just to prove the point that this is in a downtrend on the monthly. And we got a little bit above the 79% level, but we were down to a lower bottom. That's a lower top forming there on that range. So I'm looking at this as a final top. Then we've moved down, looking at this as a rally on the weekly to then move down and through. At the moment, yes, the day is still in an uptrend, and yes, we could get another higher bottom forming, but we are having a week down, so that's not really shown. When you look at the day chart, you see the trend is up. It doesn't tell you on the day chart that we're actually having a week down. So if we have another week down next week, this is going to become a significant lower top. So at the moment, potentially, there's two sides of the market. If you're a buyer, the day chart trend is up. It is going against, the day trend is going against the weekly trend and the monthly trends, which are down at the moment. So this could still continue up. And there's a 79% level here on top of support. This could bottom here to move up. But the sell-off yesterday was from the interest rate decision. market's expectation maybe that interest rates are going to come down at some point. But support can hold here. It's not a great area. If you're not already short, if you think long-term price is moving down and you're not already short, this is not a great area to get short in because of all the support in this area. So for me at the moment, again, moving to the 4-hour chart, my bias is to the short side. I would look for a bounce from this area, but not to trade the bounce. 79% level up here, 61.50, 55 to 58 here would be a great area if it came up to retest. This imbalance may need to be filled, so I would wait for the next rally. I'm not going to sell into support, and you could be looking for a buy down here on the 50-minute chart if you want to go in line with the day chart trend, but the major trends are all down. Price has been selling back down in line with those trends. So, and this could hold here after US dollar news, and you can see a move back up from 60.86 at least all the way back up to 61.58. And then what happens at 61.58? So got to work out yourself what side of the market you want to be on this pair. The higher time frames, which are holding their trend, the monthly and the weekly, they're holding their trend through the latter end of last year into this year, they're remaining down. We've had a short-term pop-up on the day chart here. Really, this pop-up here was about a 50% rally of this decline. Couldn't come up to the 62% or the 79%. So what side of the market are you on? Personally, I'd be looking for the rally and then look to sell. Dollar Canadian. All right, this is how I had it mapped out on Tuesday. I didn't quite get down into that area, but of course, I got the trend right. The direction of where price was going, didn't quite get into the area that I was highlighting. We're at the kind of at the top of the move at the moment here on the 4-hour chart. Just back to the daily. So daily chart has been a little bit messy in here, but this could come up to the 127 extension of this range. This imbalance has been filled now. Might have a bit of a headache in this area, but this if you're long, this is potentially the area through here, 136.18 area, where maybe you want to take profits at and then wait for the next decline to buy the next dip. All right, and if we just do a full analysis, the monthly trend is like the dollar index, almost identical, inverse head and shoulders here. It's a lot stronger than the dollar index because the monthly candle here is almost at the top where it's not on the dollar index. Weekly trend is up. It's been a little bit slow going, but it's been holding its trend. It's higher bottom, higher top. So monthly, weekly trends are up and the day trend is up. All right, so I would be looking for the next pullback on the day chart now. Just draw the fib across the range, keep moving it up if price keeps moving up, and wait for the next pullback to the 62.79% area. All right. Then we're going to be buying at the top of the move where everybody's taking profits. Wait for the next dip. Dollar franc, it's very sideways here at the moment. I've got an area that I've highlighted for the last 2 weeks now. It's not getting down there yet, but if I wanted to trade this pair, this is where I would be looking, down at the 86.99 monthly support level and the 62 level at 86.78 here. I might not get down there, but at the moment it's very slow going. So whether that can get down there or not, I need to see price actually improve itself, because for a good 2 weeks it's pretty much flat, sideways going. I mean, there is on the 4-hour chart. Ranges on the 4-hour chart at the moment are only 50 pips. In 50 pips there, it's probably more like 40 pips at the moment. So I would look to a better pair at the moment. All right, dollar yen. Let's put in a little kind of sideways double top area here. We're very high up here on the weekly chart. That's the 23 high, the 22 high. Is this the 24 high forming? We're just above the 79% level of this range at the moment. We start to be back up below 149.40, the 79% fib. That's going to start, the market will start to see that we're moving back below the 79% level. At the moment, this week, we're not able to hold above 150.15, this high here. So it's just looking a little weak. But this hasn't, if we can get a good close below this low, that would be ideal. 149.67 at the moment. It could be holding here, and it could just be remaining on support, holding at resistance and just holding in that range. All right. Any news that's US dollar positive, of course, is going to be dollar yen positive. So this doesn't potentially have to go any higher because the BOJ has been, I've seen a few headlines saying the BOJ is watching price action. And we're in the intervention price point area above 150 or around 150. So at any point they could intervene. So it's not a great area to be a buyer, but this could just go sideways, tracking sideways for a while. If we could, though, get a nice, a nice break, then you could draw a fib and look to sell a rally. At the moment, though, at the moment, you could still look for that. I did say on Tuesday that you could be looking for a head and shoulder pattern here, which, I was saying that this could be a left shoulder head. Kind of got two heads now. So we could draw a fib like so, and you could monitor this rally back up to come up to the 79% level or close to these highs or a further sell. So I think the bias is to the downside because we're such high prices, but it isn't giving a break to the downside. But you have to pick where you want, where do you want to sell? You don't want to sell right now because we're on support. So you have to then wait for the next rally. Now you may be more bullish. You think we're going to break above the 22 and 23 highs. Well, we're on support at the moment. So in this area that we're at the moment, testing 149.67, you could be a buyer in this area if you can see yourself to buy on a lower time frame to, accumulate your bought position for a potential break above these highs. So what side of the market are you on? I mean, theoretically, if we just, I am saying on the weekly chart here that we're at such high levels, but this actually is in a weekly uptrend. It's just like I've been saying on the other yen pairs, when you're at historical high points, selling pressure comes in and reversals occur. So I'm a little bit, I'm never buying here. I'm looking for the opportunity to sell. But, in 2 or 3 weeks, we could simply blow through here on continual US dollar strength news coming out. All right. So again, what side of the market on? I would like the other yen pairs, just be watching the next rally. All right, let's just finish with gold. All right, so this is how I had it on Tuesday, saying watch for a retest of this area. All right. We actually did retest on that candle there. I think we were in this candle when I was doing the webinar, so to watch a retest. And you can see that we keep coming up, but keep failing at all these highs to the left here on the 4-hour chart. Back to the day chart, I'm just drawing, well, it's actually that fib's drawn across the weekly range from lower top to lower bottom. Weekly trend is down. And this has come all the way back up to almost this daily high and this daily area over here. So I drew my color zone in from these two highs. And we keep testing that area and holding. So any further tests? So the area is approximately 30.38 to 20.44. That's where the sellers are in control. Are we topping out there to put in a lower top on the weekly chart? Now at the moment, if I put a fib in on this 4-hour range, we're at the 79% level. So there's a little bit of a maybe head and shoulder pattern here, not textbook, but you know, because this is kind of equal lows here, but quite clearly here at 79% level, we're holding. Are we down? Rally down. All right, so that's my thoughts there on the gold. It looks like we're in the sell zone up here. We're going to start to move back down and come down to at least retest the 2009 weekly supports. That's the first level of weekly support that the market keeps bouncing back above. Okay. All right, so my thoughts on gold. So just be aware, we do have that US dollar news obviously coming out. $11:30 my time, Queensland time. Canadian GDP month to month, and then the core PCE price index and unemployment claims. Next big news item will be next week when we have the job figures coming out for the US next Friday. So this definitely has the potential to move the market this evening. So monitor your positions or monitor when you want to be getting in. Maybe don't be thinking about getting into after then and see what you can do after that. Right, other than that, I think I'll leave it there. If you want to join me next week, from me next week, more analysis next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Sydney time, which is, I'm just trying to find it on here. Here we go. I'm looking at the blues when it's in white. So next Tuesday, it's Forex trading here, live market analysis on the 5th. I'll be doing a review of the previous month's trading, the patterns that were forming on the pairs. What can you learn from that for the next month of trading? And then we've got more analysis on Thursday the 7th. All right, so if you want to join me, just head over to the page and register your interest. Other than that, thanks for your company today. Enjoy, have a great trading over the next few trading days as the rest of the week pans out. And hopefully I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, everybody.